702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7.
And 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good morning, it's 6 minutes past 9. Welcome to the Friday edition of the Clement Manyathela Show. CD Madia here in for Clement Manyathela. He is off for a couple of days. As Bongani said, it's a dirty weekend. No, not so much. He's off to celebrate his birthday, but he will be back in a couple of days. I'll be with you until 12 this afternoon. And as per usual, we'll kick off with the open line. If you're watching on YouTube, if you are listening via Prime Media Plus, if you're listening on your radio, you are more than welcome to get in touch with us to share your thoughts on the various topics that we'll be juggling throughout the 3 hours of the show. But I do want to start off, though, by paying this team's respects to Alcine Tateng. Very sad news coming out this week that one of our own has passed on. I'm sending love, I'm sending strength to her family, and especially, of course, to Bar Obs and to Chris from the Aubrey Masango show. I don't know any one of us who've worked here late into the night, those who toil the midnight oil, who work late into the night, who've not experienced Alcine Tateng's warmth. Even as part of the EWN family, a lot of us knew Alcine Tateng Guhusitse. We will remember you, we will miss you. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. Alcine Tateng Robala Kakujo. Just wanted to pay my respects to you and to send condolences to your loved ones. How's your week been? Have you had a good start to the week? Has it been difficult? What are your highlights, your lowlights? We'd also like to have some of your thoughts. I do know this particular show does Gratitude Fridays, so feel free to let us know how the week has been. You can call us on 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. That's for your WhatsApps and voice notes.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
All right, so I'm not sure if you've looked at the newspapers or even online, but I was looking at Times Live this morning and I saw a really interesting story where it speaks about the national dialogue. Remember, there's a national dialogue that is due to take place next week, right? So Times Live reporting this morning that it's hit more hurdles. Lisa Katandwa and Khotatso Madisha reporting that there's a storm brewing as some of the foundations have threatened to pull out of the national dialogue. This is over management and logistics relating to the dialogue. The dialogue, as I keep saying, is meant to kick off next week. Times Live says issues include the venue as well as funding. There's so many controversies that have hit this attempt to get the nation talking. I swear, if you ask me, I would say that in and of itself is ominous. That in and of itself is a warning when attempts to move in a particular direction, attempts to get people to talk, are hit by so many issues. I mean, when you look back at it, the dialogue has had that 700 million rand price tag controversy. Then you had the second largest GNU partner, the DA, pulling out of the dialogue. Yes, they pulled out of the dialogue instead of the GNU to register their unhappiness about Andrew Whitfield, but that caused lots of issues for the dialogue. Now you're hearing about foundations at the heart of the dialogue supposedly wanting to pull out. All of this happens with a cynical citizenry in the backdrop, right? South Africans aren't necessarily, at least on my end, I don't feel a vibe. I don't feel excitement. I don't feel eagerness from South Africans about the national dialogue. I was in conversation with Mayor Brigalia Bam on the Politricking podcast earlier this week, and I asked her that. I said, South Africans don't seem to care. The foundations are talking about it. The president is talking about it, but South Africans, how na vibe? There's nothing that says that South Africans are interested in this conversation at that level. What I found odd about it is this very show this week held a people's dialogue. I tuned in, I listened to Clement engaging various people from across all walks of life. And the one thing that was interesting is that when that wrapped up, South Africans said, we must have more of these. We must find each other. We must close the social gap. There's so many issues. We need to be able to sit and hold a space for one another. Well, government is trying to do that for you. What's blocking you? What's stopping you from participating, from showing interest in the national dialogue? Are you irritated by that price tag? Is it a question of not trusting the process? What are the issues? I'd really like to know your thoughts about what it is and whether or not you're interested in what the national dialogue seeks to do. Attempts to build a social compact haven't worked out. The hope, from my understanding, is that this will lead us in that particular direction. I don't know if it will. If you South Africans, are not interested, then what is to be done? Because that is actually one of the reasons why this is happening. Part of the excitement that the foundations kept talking about is South Africans get to determine what they want for their country. So if that's the case, why is there no appetite? Is it about the facilitator? Is that where the issue lies? Is it because you don't trust the government that's part and parcel of this? I've noticed also that there is a trust deficit, and I think it speaks to that Times Live story between the foundations themselves as well as government. I'll tell you which foundations are involved. There's quite a lot. You've got former President Thabo Mbeki's foundation, the Robert Mangaliso Sobukwe Foundation, the F.W. de Klerk Foundation, the Desmond and Leah Tutu Legacy, Umlambo, Chief Albert Lutuli, the Kgalema Motlanthe, and Jakes Gerwell. So there's a lot of foundations that are doing the work. In fact, somebody in government had argued that they actually are not even allowed to tinker with the agenda. The foundations aren't allowing government to get that close. But there's a trust deficit, as I keep saying, that I've picked up on between the foundations and government. I think for some in the foundations, they look at government and it's not trusted because we are here in part because of government failures, right? Sure. And then the other argument that I think can be made is something that Mayor Brigalia Bam said to me at the beginning of the week when she said, we should not look to Parliament for answers. Her main argument was they made mistakes. Oh, it was really difficult to hear her say, don't blame us. I'm not making excuses. We got it wrong. She, who was a commissioner of the IEC, disagrees with the electoral system, one that's left parties to make to have the powers that they have in Parliament, saying that, if you sing nice, you're appointed to Parliament, that those are issues that if you do wrong, you're told don't do it again, but go on. So those are the issues that they would raise about how we got here. So they're dealing with a government that's how they view the politicians of today, these people. That's my sense. And then you've got government that looks at the foundations and says some of these foundations are looking at the dialogue as a way to survive. The argument being made is that, again, there's this massive price tag. And for some of the foundations, they're cash strapped, they claim, and some of the government insiders saying that this is a way, it's a 24-month project. It's a way to keep them going. That funding has been running dry. We've seen what the Americans have done. That in part, that's what this is. What's your reading? 072-702-1702. That's for your WhatsApps and voice notes. If you want to call in and have a chat, 011-883-0702.
For more about 702,
Go to primemediaplus.com.
City, good to have you this morning. City, I don't think, especially for me, I feel this government is a government that doesn't listen. It has proven time and time again that it doesn't hear its people, doesn't listen. There's been a grown number of people who said, why are we having a dialogue? Why are we not taking action? Why is Ramaphosa wanting us to talk now, almost at the end of his presidency? That means for the time that he's been with us as a president, he has not known what to do for this country. So they don't listen. That's the one thing, that no matter what we say, they don't listen.
Good morning, Austiri. Yeah, you are right. There's no buzz or there's no excitement about the national dialogue. Mostly because we don't know what is it. We don't understand it. Thank you. This is Livsiba Tefu from Mashashane Swasli.
Morning, CD and 702. Why do we need a dialogue? Because the South African problems, everyone can see where they are. You know issues of crime. You know issues of unemployment. You know issues of high electricity tariffs. You know issues of cost of living. So why must we sit down and talk about this while you know where the problems are? And you can't be a party that has been in charge for 30 years, and now you don't know where the problems are. Let's talk about problems. South African problems are there. There's no need for this dialogue.
Hello, Ostidi and the listeners. I am so saddened to get the news that Austin Tating has passed on. You know, I'm one of the ardent followers of Praopri's program. And I know the relationship between the two of them, you know, the chemistry has always been very, very strong, and we could feel it from where we are. May I say she rests in peace, and condolences to the family and to all of us, 702 community. Thanks.
Thank you so much. My heart bled last night. I listened to Bra Aubrey as he paid tribute to her. Absolutely heartbreaking. Thank you so much for your messages of support. We are discussing the national dialogue, and we're asking, what is your take? I want a vibe, that thing. Remember in 2010 when the World Cup was, you're like, Philip, there's no excitement to talk about what the shared vision should be. Craig and Santon, good morning to you.
Good morning. My take on this matter, if I may, simply put, is we all get rallied up to participate in all of these seemingly events that is there to inspire confidence, inspire and motivate people to do better. But at the end of it, the government ends up with inaction. Nothing comes from it. I think we're a society paralyzed by inquiries on top of inquiries. We continuously have to share what we are unhappy about. But what happens at the end of the day? A lot of money gets spent, a lot of engagements happen, inquiries happen, but we have nothing to show for it. To what end?
Yeah, Craig, you're raising a very important question. And it's one that I also asked, even with the former IEC commissioner, is where do we go after that? And, you know, she speaks about the belief of implementation, that they're doing the work. But what you need to remember is if they're raising issues with the people in parliament, nothing will happen outside of parliament. They go back there. If legislation needs to be changed to make things better, as you raise it goes back where? To parliament, where we've seen them serve themselves, where the elite looks after themselves across the board and put themselves ahead of everybody else. Thank you so much, Craig, out in Santon for that. I see Mtapokazi Mjambi says, and the ND National Dialogue comes at a time where there were calls for the ANC to renew. Let me do that again. And the National Dialogue comes at a time where there were calls for the ANC renewal, which no one is talking about now. What if this is about the ANC trying to redeem itself? That's coming out on YouTube. You know what? I think that is part of the problem, right? It's about optics. The only party that speaks about the dialogue is the ANC. It doesn't belong to the ANC. I think the foundations have tried really hard to drive home that message that it's about us, not about the ANC. But the problem, again, I say, it goes back to Parliament, to those people. The president actually spoke about this issue on Monday in the closing, again, the ANC of his address, saying that we must be clear that the national dialogue does not displace the democratic processes mandated by our constitution. Its outcomes cannot supersede the electoral mandates that parties carry into parliament and the executive. And there is where I think South Africans will definitely have a problem. Bonnie in Santon, hi. Bonnie, good morning. Can you hear us?
Hi, good morning. Yes. Sorry. How are you?
We are very good. You wanted to chat about the dialogue too?
Yeah. Chidi, Craig just took the words right out of my mouth. When do we start implementing? If the government cared to really listen, we have these dialogues on a daily on platforms like 702 and the likes. But when exactly are we going to start implementing? Just right now, 2 days ago, or just yesterday, doctors were in KZN were protesting. 700 million here could have employed how many of them?
That's a very
We have these talks on a daily for free, Johan.
for free.
I mean, if they
They must just listen to the rest of us, ne?
Exactly. When I know so, how long it took for the president to remove Dr. Nobu Kengabane. So
Yeah.
so which goes to prove or you know, after spending this 700 million, they still may not listen. And then volela 700 million later, still nothing happened.
All right, Bonnie. Thank you so much. Bonnie is calling us out in Santon. There's no optimism that I'm hearing attached to this. But again, I want to say, I listen to the people's dialogue. South Africans want to talk. South Africans want to find solutions. There are South Africans who want to find one another and chart a way forward. Is the issue the fact that there's government involvement? And then the other question is, when all is said and done, 24 months, you do the talk, you put together a report. How do we action that report outside of the political elite that is in parliament? Kustas, hi.
Yeah, Tidi, good morning, man. You know, I called Tidi also to wish condolences to Austin Tating's family. I saw your tweet last night.
Yes.
That's the one that alerted me to this. And, I was so sad, Tidi, because I spoke to her in June. That's the last time I was coming from the show as well. So I normally call him Brasho when I get the time. But she was an absolutely incredible human being, by far. And obviously condolences to Ob's show and to Ob's himself and to the 702 family. And that's all I had in mind for today. But taking a bite on the dialogue, Teddy, I don't know, we are creative in ways of wasting money as in South Africa. It's not that the ANC government does not know what to do. I just think they just don't have the courage to do it. Literally, even them, they probably wonder why they keep on getting elected every year, like Winji, whether it's a ward, whether it's a city. I don't think they know, because they are truly reversing all the gains that they gathered under Thabo Mbeki by faster rate to a point that by the time they leave office, it will be far, far worse. So, having said that, I have no faith and hope that this thing is going to yield anything, because government has made it clear, like you read now, that look, you know what, we hear what you're going to say, but doesn't take away what Parliament is doing, government is. So let's have the talk shop, and then that's all we do in South Africa, isn't it? Thanks for taking my call.
Thank you, Kustas. Thank you for the messages around us and Tating. Let's have a talk shop, he says. And that's become who we are. We take so much pride in being this wonderfully robust and loud democracy, but it doesn't work if we don't work. And that's part of the challenge, right? Is moments like this, for me, present opportunities to get involved. But it's not enough to just talk and talk. The part of the apprehension, and I'm hearing it and I'm taking it into consideration, is, and then what? Rabolela, and then what? On the WhatsApp line, TD, last year we voted and gave this government a mandate. Granted, it wasn't a full mandate, but they all campaigned on certain manifestos that they now need to implement. That's why this dialogue is redundant. I feel like Ramaphosa conducts himself like we are in a Codesa mode. Then he'll take his time to consult until the last inch of his presidency, and then gaslight us into thinking that it's action. The policies are there. They just need to implement them. Thank you so much for that. Funny enough, it's not this, the dialogue is not his idea. You guys know that. I think the president has actually said as much. The dialogue is from a President Thabo Mbeki's idea. Then you rope in the churches as well. Government, I feel like, was coerced in moving in this direction as well. And I don't know if that makes a difference to you at all, you know? Stembiso in Meadowlands.
Yes, how are you, TD?
I'm very good, thank you. What's on your mind?
I'll keep it short. Regarding the dialogue, I'd like to go the opposite direction in what you just said, that South Africans actually want to talk and come up with solutions. I think as South Africans, we know, everybody knows what needs to be done in order to improve our country. However, our government keeps on failing us with implementing. We have so many beautiful laws and whatnot, but implementation, example, the bylaws. We have so much beautiful bylaws, but they're not being enforced. So I think as South Africans, we now just want to vent. That's why we always agree to these conversations and dialogues.
And what about our responsibilities, those citizens? Because we do a lot of, hey, government, and rightfully so. There are failures that we must place directly at the door of government. But I also find that we also don't play our part.
Unfortunately, what happens is, example, you as a South African, you take the initiative, you want to make your country a clean place. I'm in Soweto, I see somebody selling drugs, I report to the police, only to find out that the police is infested. So what happens? Nothing. Or I become a victim. So we end up doing if you can't beat them, it's either you join them or you just complain from a distance.
All right, Stemiso, thank you. Stemiso's out of Maryland. How heartbreaking that even for those who say that they try, for them, it's absolutely pointless to do so. Advocate Mofe Kiawabona, but before I come to you, let me go to Mudise in Vereniging. I'm looking for somebody who's slightly more positive about the dialogue. Hi.
Oh, yes. How are you? I think the dialogue is going to be successful because everybody is going to be involved. White, colored, Indians, and blacks. Not ANC only.
It's not about the parties. It shouldn't be. And I think we're struggling to also divorce that from the dialogue, that it's about South Africans talking. You believe that it's possible and that it could be a success?
It is going to be a success because for the first time, white people are conscious now about political climate in South Africa, even Indians and colors. We want to hear them. And even all political parties. We're talking about mass democratic movements here. We're not talking about ANC. People must be positive. If maybe even journalists are involved, people like you and others.
We must have views,
about who are conscientizing people, even our religious institutions, they're going to be involved. So people must be positive about it. And if they want ANC to implement, what must they implement? Because they've got less than 40%. They must invite other parties. And it's good if they invite other parties. People must be positive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mudisa. Mudisa sounds like an ANC member. Did he say, what do we want to...
Right.
Did he say, what do we want to implement? We are 40%. Okay, Mudisa. Advocate Mofe Dumela. Advocate Sam Mofe is on now. Good morning, Advocate.
Dumela, how are you?
I'm very good. Long time. It's been very long.
Hey, it's very, very, very long. But I listen to you all the time anyway, I just wanted to call and pass my condolences on the family of Nkateng, Aubrey told me about her death yesterday. And, it is so painful. I mean, she was one of our best producers, really, and who took her job so seriously. And she has been doing this job for many, many years. And she used to call on some of us for ideas as to which topics to run with. And I was so shocked when they told me that she passed away yesterday. It is so sad. I think we lost one of our greatest brains in the media space, really. And I just want to say, may her soul rest in peace.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you. That's Advocate Sam Mofe, who's South Africa's ambassador to South Sudan over there. I mean, many of us share those sentiments. We've lost someone special. As I said earlier, there's not a single one of us who's toiled well into the night at midnight oil, who did not know Alison Tateng, who never felt her presence. So thank you for all those messages we receive, and we of course pass the condolences and love to her family as well. It is 9:30. Twiso Zulu's got your headlines.
7:02.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
9:35, TD Madia in Fort Clement. I'll be with you until 12 o'clock. It is the open line, various issues on the table. I also have a question for you. What's in a name? Have you ever thought about that? So the Umkhonto weSizwe Party has issued a directive to its structures. I do know there's a media briefing later on. I'll tell you if you want what I think that briefing is about. But anyway, they've issued a directive to the structures. This following a meeting that they held on the 6th, deciding that members shall no longer refer to each other as commanders, but instead as comrades. They'll do this with immediate effect. Provincial conveners will now become provincial chairpersons, as you see it in the ANC, and provincial coordinators, very much like the ANC, will also become provincial secretaries. It got me wondering, does it matter? You know, part of the reason, from my understanding with the MK doing this, is that it's aimed at strengthening and growing the organization. I want you to quickly listen to former President Jacob Zuma, leader of the MKP, explaining why they should call each other comrades and not commanders, and the importance and the value of rankings, respecting rankings. Listen.
As ukuthi ucommand usho ukuthini? Should sonke siyalingana. Sonke we are the same. Akekho ophethe omunye siphathene nje. Sonke siyalingana. Leyo nto yenza ukuthi sibe weak. Singahloniphanga. Because ucommand udlula ngani? Commander, ya commander. Into serious kabi leyo is a military word. Commander, umuntu ocommanda ama forces. A commander yena mase kukhulumena kakhuluma omunye umuntu. Sayifaka nje kuba phela sasijahile sizama ukuthi sesithatha umbuso. Manje sihleli namatheli 10. As a result, we have to learn to train in locals and Linganayo. Parallel. You learn the Pogosmoti, no Katomina, wouldn't pet. Navela Ketel Abandabak, nearly animals. Command and no command. That's a problem. Mentantla, Ganazista Nendla. So see, culture is like cut a uncle alone. Comrade Abu Comrade, you see, when's a lente science and over, I season a loot. Gender my buzang. So Lungis and Jonka Gashi. So Memazeli Pagatin and Dow. Say Lungis good isn't a Zolunga. Was a strong pan. That's why strong panagungeko. Ombitin Don Nam Don is no commander song. Yeah, so commander, what's wrong? Good morning, commander. Good morning, commander. Finish.
So that's former President Jacob Zuma speaking to party members and explaining the issue that he takes with members calling each other commander, speaks about the importance of respecting the rank, and that because they call each other commander, there is no respect. So it speaks to hierarchy in essence. That's what he's raising, right? And how he believes that if they all change from calling each other commanders, it will also instill some level of respect and respectability and stability within the party. It will foster that. He complained about it, and he said that the reason why commander was there the way that it was is because they were rushing for elections, and so they're going to fix these things. And as I said, they've put out a directive now to all its structures in the MKP, saying that it must change. Got me thinking about titles. Do they matter to you? You know, is it an issue about disrespect if your title is not respected? Like if you got your doctorate, you want that because you earned it. It must be said. If it's not said, you'll be aggravated. In my space as a journalist, a political journalist specifically, there's this weird thing that happens around being called a senior political journalist. I don't understand it. I've never had a fascination with it. I don't even get what a senior political journalist does sometimes. But I know a lot of journalists who want to be called by that title, want to be known and understood. I'm a senior in conversations out of the blue. As I say, and you're like, does it matter? Do you get anything out of it? I don't need to get into that whole, hey, call him CIC. No, his name is Julius, please. So there's all that back and forth. Does it matter? What's in a name? What are your thoughts? 072 702 072. Hold on. 072 702 That's for your voice notes and WhatsApps. 011-883-0702. That's to call in and to engage with us. Of course, we are also speaking about the national dialogue. I see a lot of commentary on the national dialogue. I'm going to go to Sandile in Kagiso quickly.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
Sandile, I'm sorry about that. Sandile in Kagiso. Abel is reprimanding me. I'll take my L's. Hi, Sandile.
Yes, hello, Tidi. It's Sindile. Yes, thank you.
Oh, Sindile, I apologize.
Yeah. Tidi, for 30 years, the ANC has been in power. And they come up with one thing. They say, let's have a dialogue. Because it's manufactured by them. It started with Mbeki, as you said before. And they said, let's talk South Africans. South Africans are no longer angry enough. They want to sit down with the ANC and talk. While we, the voters, we are kicking it down slowly but surely, piece by piece, to 40%. And now you want to talk. So South Africans are being manipulated by the ANC again, and they're allowing it to manipulate them with the dialogue. We've been talking so long. We know the issues. Right now, Ramaphosa made what you call Gwede Mantashe a Minister of Police, temporary, while this guy was fingered in the Zondo Commission. What does that tell us? Are we going to talk about that? Is that part of the agenda? Is Mkhulu part of the agenda? It's all those who are implicated in Zondo Commission, who are appointed by Ramaphosa. Part of the agenda of the dialogue. Are we going to talk about that, to tell Ramaphosa exactly what he knows, what we know? Ramaphosa knows more than we do. And then we want to sit down and talk. Who's going to talk? People of South Africa will be complaining, coming to the radio after this dialogue, complaining that it was not fair, it didn't come to us, it didn't reach this and that. They will be complaining again, but they forget that they've allowed it to happen. We can't allow it to happen. People know what needs to be done in this country. Simple as that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's Sindile in Kagiso. Thank you so much. I'm going to play a couple of your voice notes on this topic as well.
Good morning, our sister D. The problem that I have with the national dialogue is the money involved. That money could be used for a lot of things. Or it could actually fill up most of the portals here in the Val where I stay, and maybe help out with the sewer lines that that are broken all over. You've got a sewer line that is broken, there's sewer all over. Even at Didier police station, there's a sewer is just running in front of the police station. Thank you.
Good morning, Tidi Madia, Sabsia. Look, Tidi, when it comes to this national dialogue, it's truly a joke. South Africans have spoken in the last elections. The ANC seems to be ignoring them and thinking that they can still bulldoze their way through talking and acting like they're still in power. Well, one message, South Africans will talk again in the next election. Just watch.
Yes, good morning, Siri. You're speaking to Joy here. I don't know what the point of the dialogue is. One question that I've got is the government going to implement whatever is being discussed at the dialogue, or is it going to look at the issues? Because there's one issue that I feel that a lot of South Africans have been feeling strong about. It is the question of the immigrants. Let us say, suppose people do raise the question, is the government going to act on those suggestions? Let us say, for instance, people say the immigrants must go. What will the government do? So if they're not going to implement the resolutions of the dialogue, then what is the point of the dialogue? Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. There seems to be suggestions of a willingness, note those words, that if there are conversations and resolutions that feel urgent in the dialogue, that there'll be attempts to address them, but I'm not convinced. My greatest crisis with the dialogue is I'm not convinced of what the pathway forward will be, because the issues, as I said earlier, go back to the very political elite that everyone's complaining about. You're asking those people to deal with themselves. Part of the issue with the Zondo Commission report, it says the poison comes from parliament. It's the political system that's problematic. So this will be seeking to undo that as well, in essence. It'll ask us what we want, right? With an idea of fixing what's gone wrong. The well is poisoned, but the rod, without question, comes from the political landscape, comes from the political space. That's what many people in this country will say. So we have the engagements, then it goes back where? To rectify what's gone wrong. And I think that's where I'm not convinced about the way forward. Here, Litlokonolo in Midrand. Hi, good morning to you.
Miss Madia.
Hey.
A long time, Miss Madia.
Okay.
Miss Madia, listen here. What is it that the ANC want us to tell them in this dialogue? What do they want to find out?
Why is it about the ANC, Litlokonolo, quickly? Because it's about you and me. Foundations are involved.
Let's say the
Glass
government.
Foundation is there.
Let's say government. What is it that government want us to tell them? What do they want to find out from this dialogue that they don't know? Because they know everything. They know everything that's happening. They know how South Africa. Because let's make an example, Ms. Madia. On the 27th of April each and every year, it's a Freedom Day. Government does a function, Freedom Day functions, and who are the majority, not even the majority, who are the people that attend those functions? According to you, I've seen you at this celebration, Ms. Madia. Who are the people that attend this function? It's us, the black people.
Yes.
It's us. It's the black people. For 30 years, I was at the last one here in what's this place here before Klerksdorp?
I'm not sure. Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
I'm saying to you, it is us that attend this function. It shows you. It clearly shows you.
Pulling in one direction. Yeah.
Yeah, it clearly shows you that it's not everybody who's pulling in one direction. So when are we going to keep on begging our fellow white counterparts to be part of us? What government is supposed to do now? Because it is clear that our white fellow counterparts are not prepared to be part of South Africa in certain things. There's only certain things that they want to be part of South Africa. Okay, when it comes to, they say, fighting crime and not wanting someone in certain positions. Okay.
They care about what makes them comfortable and not the overall picture.
Let me tell you what the government is supposed to do in the ANC. The ANC is supposed to go each and every location, each and every suburb. Instead of doing this thing, you're never yet. They're supposed to send people in government, head of the departments and ministers into communities to find out what are the problems that the communities are facing. Do you think people from Lihuru or people from Marble Hall are going to be at that thing that's starting next week? They're not going to be there. They are not going to be there because they wouldn't even have the money to get there. So you take the people, you take your people, heads of the department, the ministers, you send them into the communities. You will find out, after that you compile all those things, you will find out all these people, they are crying about one thing. And you fix that. Miss Maria.
So you are saying it's an elitist exercise, that in and of itself it's classist. That's the first point that I think you're making, one of the points you're making. The other interesting one for me is your point about white people. I agree with you. They don't turn up for events, national events. We don't see white people on the ground at those stadiums. I agree. Are you also saying that even this opportunity given to them to talk about the way forward for you is one they will not bother with?
They've got no interest. Miss Madia, they've got no interest. They are just like there is a certain black class that is becoming like them, the ones in the suburbs. Okay, they are becoming like white people. They are not interested. Those are the other ones that you wouldn't even see in those gatherings. Okay, unless they've got something there, unless they're going to benefit something there. Even if we do these things, we still wouldn't see white people into those events, those kind of events. The only way that we'll meet them is at the Rugby World Cup, rugby match.
Okay, I'm seeing a lot of white people actually responding to you, so I'll go through some of those responses. Thank you so much, Litlokonolo out in Midrand. Have a good Friday, Litlokonolo.
You too, Miss Madia.
Miss Madia, yes. I want to play more of your voice notes. I am seeing a lot of your interaction. You know, there's an interesting thing that Professor Somatota Fikeni always says to me, and that's the race issue in this country. He always says to me, we are people who do not agree on what the past of this country was. We don't agree on how we experience in the country today, nor do we agree on what the way forward is. And that's the challenge. Again, I want to go back to the People's Dialogue this station held, where people of different colors said, we do need to close the social gap. We do need to find one another. We do need to understand each other's context a little bit better to move forward. That's part of the problem. I'm going to play some of your voice notes now.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, CD. To me, titles, they don't matter. I'm fine with people calling me by my name. Actually, my first name, I don't really love the titles. And I feel like as long as you deliver, man, as long as you deliver, what matters is the deliverables, not how people address you. Hey, Pascal Pretoria.
Dumela Tshidi, whether it's commando, commander, comrade or concrete, it doesn't change the price of bread. So for me, I don't care. Thanks, senior journalist Sidi Madia. This is Taviso from Midlands.
And I also don't care for it. Please don't ever call me that. Don't ever call me that. Just call me by my name. TD's just fine. TD's just sharp. But I agree with you. It's really like it's neither here nor there. I remember Andre Director was really upset about the use of comrades by members of the ANC. Obviously, the embattled, beleaguered former CEO of ESCOM. I remember now how upset he was about the old school use of comrades. That thing is not going to go away. That's just what it is. 072-7021-702 to send voice notes and WhatsApps. 011-883-0702 if you want to call in. Mark in Centurion, good morning.
Yes, good morning, CD. Listen, I'm very disappointed. You know, we're talking about a national dialogue. We're talking about the problems in this country. For the last 31 years, of a political party who's been in government doesn't know by now what the issues are in this country. I can count them on one hand. You know, the lack of economy, the lack of jobs, the lack of infrastructure, the lack of healthcare, the lack of education, etc., etc. We don't need a national dialogue. And then we get people calling in, you know, playing the race card and race baiting. Absolutely unacceptable. What has race got to do with a national dialogue? Especially when white people, unless for the better part, if you want to call it that, because the DA is always called a white party, which it isn't. But you have some white ministers for the last year only. For the last 30 years, we've had black ministers and so on. And the problems that stem from this country, in this country, basically come from 30 years of mismanagement, incompetence, corruption, and so on and so on and so on. What has that got to do with race?
Mark?
I'm sorry, these race-baiting comments are totally unacceptable.
Mark?
Yes.
I think one, I'm going to try and address a few things that you raised. One, I don't think that, let me try actually. One, we've had white ministers. I'm not going to get there. It's neither here nor there for me. Two, I don't think the dialogue is about government. And I think that's what I keep trying to say to everybody. And I think that's where the issue with the dialogue might be, that government is involved. Maybe that's where the problem lies, but that it isn't about that. But I think part of the dialogue is to bring South Africans together. Part of that for me would mean, whether you like it or not as South Africans, you must deal with your race issues. And I think that's what Dr. was raising. I don't know if by definition I would say what he said is race baiting. I think he's raising a point about participation and finding one another and South Africans hearing each other out. And I think if you remove government and you speak about how South Africans relate to one another, there is a question to be asked about how we relate to one another. On the score of government failures, I think we're all on one page. We all recognize that we have a government that's failing us. I don't think there's anybody in this country who goes, oh my goodness, government has been outperforming itself. No, that's not the case. Then our country wouldn't be where it is.
Can I just respond to that?
Sure.
Jobs has got nothing to do with race, okay? Whether we are talking about a worker or whether we're talking about a CEO of a company, the economy is failing. Because of the economy is failing, we don't create enough jobs. Whether it's black or white jobs, it doesn't really matter. Black and whites agree in this country. The potholes in the roads are not black potholes or white potholes. They are potholes. It affects white and black people. It's got nothing to do with race. If there's not enough seats in schools, or not enough teachers, or not enough nurses, or not enough doctors, or public healthcare assisted training, black people get sick, white people get sick. The issue is what we need to look at. Not whether black people and white people can live together. Black people and white people,
No, that's part of it, though, actually, Mark. At no point is that not a part of it. Because that takes away from how we got here. Your argument completely removes how we got here as a country. South Africa's history cannot be divorced. That stuff cannot be divorced. But on the score of government failures, Mark, I'm on the same page.
Well, okay.
But to remove... Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Let's call it a day because he's not listening. I can't disagree. I can't say that you completely remove the issue of race off the table. You can you can debate how it's handled, but it's definitely not removed. 011-883-0702 072-702-1702 for your WhatsApps and voice notes.